On this week's journal session, Pastor Bob talks about being still and getting quiet. Take a listen.
When people look at me, they think, does that guy ever shut up? Yeah, I know most people look at me and go, he's wild, crazy, wild Bob. It's true. I don't know how many pastors I've taken with me around the world where we'll be doing some human rights issues and so forth. And they're used to me being loud and horsing around and cutting up. And they'll see me be quiet. And they go, what in the world, Bob? Why are you so quiet? It all has to do with context. When I was a little kid, I was loud. When I was born, I was loud. When I went to school, I was loud. I'd get in trouble in class and be put out in the hallway because I'd been too loud in the class. But I'd start a party out in the hallway and get in trouble with the principal, and I'd get in more trouble. So I'm used to being loud. So a lot of you see the loud side of me, but believe it or not, there really is a quiet side to me. It's almost a silent side. That's right. You can call me Silent Bob. Isaiah 30 verse 15 says, in returning and rest, you shall be saved. In quietness and in trust shall be your strength. What does it mean to be quiet? I live a very loud life, but I also have to have very quiet moments in silence. They both matter. And the reality is, in a noisy world and in a noisy life, you can't always slow down or bring down the volume. But what you can do is build quietness into your life. You can't change the operating system of the world, but you can change your operating system. How do you find that quietness? How do you get quiet? How do you take a breath? See, here's the thing. It takes time to fill your tank mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. We have the idea that we can just fill it up really quick. Right now, many cars are going electrical. And one of the goals for those batteries is that it takes no longer to charge your car up than it did to stand there and put gas in it. So they're working hard. How do we charge batteries that fast? And a lot of us have the idea that we can just really deplete our batteries and then just charge them real quick and we'll be ready to go. But it doesn't work that way. As a matter of fact, without quiet, without stillness, without rest, and yes, without silence, I mean real silence, no music, no nothing. Take a breath right now. Be silent. It takes time to charge yourself, mentally for your brain to stop, emotionally for those feelings to tamp down, spiritually when you've been giving to others, and physically. Think about it. When you go to sleep, you're exhausted and you wake up refreshed. What is that about? Did you know nothing is as healing as sleep? Your body heals more when you are completely at rest than any other time. Why do you do it? Well, it's about recharging your batteries, recharging who you are. And if you don't ever get quiet, you can't recharge. Here's another thing silence does for us. It's about reflecting. What does it mean to reflect? What just happened? A lot of times we respond to situations and circumstances, and instead we need to slow down. We need to breathe. What just happened? I heard what they said and I know how I felt, but was there something else going on there? You need to reflect about what's going on. So many times I'm the same way. I'm so busy with this project and that project and rushing from this and rushing to that I don't slow down enough and reflect. You have to reflect. And then once you've recharged and you've reflected, now you're ready to re-engage. And when you do, it leads to better understanding what's going on with you, what's going on with others, a better response. You're not just going to respond off the cuff or by strictly your emotions or something else. And it will always lead to a better outcome. You need that rest. Here's when I rest, early in the morning. I get up early because it's quiet. I used to have little kids in the house, and I realized that if I was going to have some time to myself and to be quiet, it had to be early in the morning. So that started me getting up early in the morning to have quiet. So I have this whole process. I've done it for 30 years now, where I have the coffee pot ready and I'll turn it on or fix it where it automatically comes on the night before. And I'll get my coffee and I'll go into my room and I'll just take a breath while everything is settled down. And I'll slowly wake up for 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes max. And I'll look at Twitter or Instagram or look at news or whatever on my phone. And then I'm done for 20 minutes. I've woken up. I'm awake enough that I'll open my Bible and I'll slowly begin to read and I'll reflect and I'll think about, what is God saying to me? And it's quiet. Sometimes I'll put on music, but if I do, it's just instrumental music. I don't want to hear words or anything. It's also important to have a Sabbath day. Sometimes pastors, it's hard to have that Sabbath day, especially if you have Saturday services. But you need to find a day where you can back away from everything and everyone as much as possible. Now, sometimes that doesn't always work, because those of you who have jobs like a pastor, you get called and that day can be interrupted. But as much as possible, you need to find a day where you can just don't worry about the alarm clock going off, and you can just walk around in the yard or in the park. You can do whatever is necessary, but you can just let your breath out. I had a Jewish rabbi once tell me, Sabbath is acknowledging that you're not going to get it all done, that it's God's work. I really like that. You need to also be silent throughout the day. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, just to get quiet and be silent. Go outside and walk around where you work, in the building, behind the building or something. Go into another office where no one is and just take a breath. Think about what you're dealing with. As a matter of fact, another thing that I do to really get quiet is a silent retreat. And I try once a year. I don't always do it. The best one I ever had was, frankly, for 3 weeks. And I was in Bethlehem and I was by myself. And literally for 3 weeks, all I did was just get quiet. I had my Bible, I had my journal, and that was it. I prayed, I reflected, I recharged. I thought about everything that was going on. You need a retreat to get quiet, even if it's just for the weekend, just to breathe. I know that when I set goals for the year and when I determine what I'm going to do for the next year, I do that in the context of getting quiet. I read my previous journal. I think about everything that's gone on. I begin to pray. I begin to reflect. I just get quiet. And I don't try to hurry up and do it all at once. I take a whole month, because I don't want to just get that project done. Now I know what I'm going to do next year. I need time to reflect. I need time to be quiet. I need time to think about it. And invariably what happens, I wind up with these long lists of, I've got to do this for GlocalNet and this for MFNN and this for GVI and this for that. And I've got these books to write and everything to do. And in getting quiet, I do this thing where I ask myself, what are the 10 most important things that if I do this year, they need to be done? And then I condense them down to 4. And the more you condense and the more you focus and the more you can be quiet, the more you discover what really matters, what makes a difference. I have a friend, Bob Bill, and he'll ask this question: what one thing, if I did this year, it'll give 50% increase? But you can't answer that question quick. See, I'm not saying to get quiet and be silent. What I'm saying is build silence into your life. The louder you are, the quieter you need to be. The more silent times you need to have so that you can think deeply about it. Before, when you have to make a hard decision, get quiet. Find silence. And don't just brood over it and think about it. Sometimes just take a breath and walk around and even disassociate yourself from that hard decision that you've got to make. I remember one time Leighton Ford telling us one of the most important things we'll do in our life is to be silent. He was right. And I've learned that in my life. You have a hard confrontation with an employee or a spouse or a child or someone, get quiet. How are you going to say it? Don't just walk in there and blurt it out. That never leads to anything good. Just get quiet and think about, all right, how can I say this in a positive and healthy manner that's not going to put them down, but we need to talk about this. I would also say there's other places to be quiet. I love to get on the elliptical and go for an hour, or to go out and walk for an hour. I miss it so much. I would run at least an hour a day, sometimes 2 hours. And I would do it super early in the morning or late at night. And so many times I would just run. I'd have music, but a lot of times I wouldn't even have it on. I'd just be thinking, and I would just be reflecting on things and praying them through. Long spaces of silence. Do you have a lot of decisions to make? Be silent. Do you have a lot of stress in your life? Be silent. Do you have a lot of projects and you're trying to figure out which ones to do and which ones not to do? Be silent. You see, you were made to rest. You were made to be quiet and be still and know that I am God.